Good afternoon, everybody. It's a great day to be alive. It's a great day to be in the market. Nvidia is melting down. Jensen Huang stabbed us right in the back. We're hearing all this crap about AI demand is endless. Apparently not so. So we had to bring in the boys to figure out what is going on. My name is Michael Como. I'm director of content for T3 Live. I'm here with my good friends Derrick, Oldensmith, Sami, Abusaad, and JR Romero. And we're going to give a big shout out to Derrick. I thought Derrick was insane last week. He said he was bullish right before that bond auction. I told everybody at T3 that I said Derrick is an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I went behind his back. I told everybody Derrick is wrong, but Derrick was right. The market skyrocketed. We had the bond auction, the Trump tweet, and everything went absolutely ballistic in a good way. Derrick was in a very good mood. So let us know in the chat, where are you listening from or watching from, whatever. You're on Twitter, YouTube. Are you in Bavaria, Russia? Let us know where you are from. So we're going to talk. We have lots of fun stuff to talk about. This Bank of America survey, 30-year high in bearishness. Nvidia, Tesla, gold, the number one chicken dish, because we've had a series of very intense food debates, and this week we are going to talk chicken. So we have somebody from Toronto, obviously a big Justin Trudeau fan. Two people from Toronto, New Jersey. We have Greece. Even Bavaria is in the house. Minnesota. A Tim Walz fan, obviously. Okay, all right. So I want to know, and I'll just throw this question out to the boys. So over the weekend, Bank of America, they put out the results of their latest survey, said bearishness is at a 30-year high. In the midst of all this news, the VIX was just at 60. Trade war is a mess. So I'll just throw it out to everybody. Should we be buying?
We should be looking at the charts and let the charts do the talking and forget about all these sentiment surveys, which sometimes are good, but sometimes they only represent short term.
Surveys are also like the most flawed thing that you could possibly look at, because don't tell me what you think. Show me what your portfolio actually has, because there oftentimes is huge differences there, and what people say is completely different from what they do. So I pay very little attention to like polls and things like that. But sure, when you're making all-time highs of bearish sentiment, it's something that we should, I guess, take note of. But I don't necessarily see that as a reason in and of itself to be a buyer here.
Okay, JR, I know you brought it up in the VTF this morning. You think the survey means anything?
I think it's meaningful as a data point. I am usually a contrarian on the crowd, so it's useful to understand what a lot of people are thinking. That being said, I mean, I couldn't be more with Sami on this one. You have to think for yourself. There's a old country song that says "Real men walk alone." Okay, well, real traders walk alone too. Okay, look at the damn chart and put on your big boy pants and make a decision. It's a very little consequence what a talking head may be saying or doing. And by the time they do or say, it's usually too late anyway. So it's very, very little use to me.
Okay, so do you guys like look at the VIX, because we had the VIX over 60 last week, the VIX term structure was inverted. Do you guys look at those types of things? Because that actually does represent people taking action in the market.
Yeah, I pay attention to the VIX very closely. I think I said it last week on the show here. One of several reasons why I was buying was because we had VIX 60, basically, just under 60. VIX under 60, around 60, I'm looking to buy, generally speaking. Obviously, that's just one piece of information and one factor, but that's absolutely something I'm looking at. And I think that the VIX is going to stay relatively elevated for a while. I don't see the VIX getting back down to 14 or 15 anytime soon, but trading in the 30s, trading in the upper 20s for the foreseeable future with just more general volatility makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay. All right. I want to move on to this big semiconductor mess. So Like again, Jensen Huang has been saying like there's going to be like $800 trillion a year spent on AI. Sounds like bullshit now. I mean, so they guide down because of this slowdown in China. Now, I would think that if AI demand is so crazy that all the stuff, the demand should come from somewhere else to buy these chips up. So, what do you guys? Do you guys think that this is like things are just going to get worse for the semis through earnings season?
I think if we're at the start of a longer term bearish market, Nvidia to $50. I think if we're at the start of a long term bearish market, if you look at the monthly chart, that's where to me that's where it's headed to. But the question is, are we at the start of a longer term bearish market? I don't know. It's really tough to say. The charts are a bit of a mess, and yes, and the last week's bottom I think is probably at least a medium term bottom. I don't see us taking it out in the short term or the medium term. Maybe if we're at a longer term bearish market, maybe we'll eventually take it out. And if so, then I think Nvidia honestly has ways to go still to $50 if we are gonna be in a longer term bearish market. But that's what I don't know yet, and hard to say also.
All right, so I'll throw the question out to the audience. Are you buying Nvidia? Type 11 for yes, type 22 for no. So JR, how about you? Do you think Nvidia is just broken?
No, I think people are getting caught up in the noise of it all. I'm heavily involved in the data center world through my other parallel lives of JR Romero, and I got to tell you, a data center electrician used to make $80,000 a year. Now they're making $370,000 a year because they can't find enough of these people. They can't find enough data center spaces. They can't find enough data center technicians, routers, switches, GPUs. This is only going to trend higher as we push guidance system, navigation, telemetry, robotics. So I think this. There's a cyclical and there's a secular. Yeah, cyclically, we may be slowing down here for a second. Everybody freaked out about Microsoft's cut in data center spend inside as a big demonstrative sort of data point that the party's over. I think that's nonsense. And this is one topic I'm actually really educated on. And I feel that, in terms of the overall secular trend, it's only going to go higher from here in terms of demand. Now, Nvidia's giant Achilles heel, of course, is that its revenue comes from 5 clients, right? So you could see a very significant haircut for Nvidia if one of the Meta, Nvidia, Microsoft, or other clients of theirs actually end up having a significant breakthrough in their own chip design and cut their orders down. That's easier said than done. Obviously, Nvidia having that very limited customer base and having them, cutting down capex and opex in the short term, I'm sure will affect their numbers. In terms of the cyclical horizon. But as far as the secular trend is concerned, I'm not really worried about it at all. I still believe Nvidia goes much higher.
Okay, interesting. So I just looked at the chat, and we are getting mostly 22. So it looks like a lot of people, most people at least that are listening here, are not buying Nvidia. So JR, quickly, do you think that like Jensen needs to do something big on the next earnings call? They're not reporting until late May, I believe. Do you think he needs to say something big to sort of rescue the situation?
I honestly don't know. I mean, they've executed pretty flawlessly so far. I'm not sure what else Jensen Huang could do at this point. I mean, if you've said through an Nvidia earnings call, I mean, it's like a Vivaldi concerto. It's like everything is perfect. So I'm not really sure what what he could do at this point to improve things, or what he could say.
All right, our good friend, Are You Not Entertained, says 11 with JR on Nvidia. Daniel's asking about what about the need for rare earth components for the semis? Big question out there. Okay, Derrick, I'll switch it over to you. Do you think the semis are in any real trouble near term?
So it's really difficult here. A lot of that depends on what JR was just saying, what happens with their biggest customers. And what happens with their biggest customers, what they elect to do depends on the economy. If you see a big slowdown in the economy that's leading to a slowdown in the profits of Google and Meta and these companies that are buying all these Nvidia chips, then they're gonna slow down. I mean, we saw it happen in 2022 when Meta went to like under $100 because the market did not like, especially in a bearish market, that they were spending billions and billions and billions of dollars on VR and everything that they were doing. And then what did Meta do? And this pretty much marked the bottom. They cut their spend, and that the market loved it when they cut their spend on that. You could see the exact same thing happen. So you're kind of asking on this Nvidia question is, do we go into a recession or not? If we go into a recession, they cut their spending, Nvidia goes down. If we don't go into a recession, they don't cut their spending, then it goes up. But do you want me to go on a quick rant here for a second? Because this is a topic I get a little bit passionate about.
It depends. It has to be, we need a lot of intensity.
All right, I got some intensity for you.
It has to be like under 30 seconds, but I need a lot of intensity.
This is another example of a failed tariff policy that is negatively impacting the US economy. And this just happens over and over and over again. Now look, I get the need for tariffs for national security. I get it. And I understand that with semiconductors specifically, that is where you would want to potentially use tariffs for national security. But this is what's happening, is that China is just going to make their own chips, and their chips are going to become as good as the chips that we are producing ourselves. We already saw those headlines begin to come out this morning. And I'll tell you why that's going to happen is because all of these PhDs that are in China who are trying to figure out how to make semiconductors were educated in the United States. I started my own trading desk at the New York City office of T3 Trading Group in 2013. In 2013, 14, 15, 16, I was hiring and onboarding onto the physical trading floor all these guys from China and India. There was a time when I had like 30-something traders, and 27 of them were Chinese and Indian citizens who came to the United States and were graduating with master's degrees and PhDs from Ivy League universities. They couldn't get jobs because we make it impossible for the best and brightest of the entire world. They come to the United States, they fall in love with our culture, they get highly educated, they want to stay here, they want to pay taxes here, and then we make it so difficult for them to stay. The H-1B visa lottery process is absurd, it's expensive. So what do we end up doing? We let them get PhDs and master's degrees from Harvard University, and then we kick them out to their own country. And then we say, all right, we're not going to give you our semiconductors anymore. So now we're limiting our ability to make business, but we've already given them the tools, the education to be able to create these industries themselves. This is just so stupid that we keep hurting ourselves over and over and over again with these tariffs that don't make any sense. And that's exactly what happened again last night with Nvidia that brought the entire market down again. Rant over.
Okay.
Wait, so are we bullish on tariffs?
Yeah,
I didn't get the.
Lady, Derrick, we're not going to let this anti-American sentiment go on this show.
That was a solid rant, bro. I'm pumped. I gotta go do some push-ups.
I say, to hell with the market, America first. Screw the earnings. We're gonna win long term.
All right.
Didn't you people see Rocky? Did you see Rambo 3? America always comes out on top eventually.
Well, you better start trading for it.
All right. Okay. All right. Moving on. Derrick, it was an excellent rant by Derrick. It did go over by 30 seconds, but I couldn't stop him because the passion was just coming out. Okay. Let's talk about another fun topic, gold. The gold people finally have their, they've coming up in like 5 years, we're starting to see actually where gold is actually outperforming equities. So like they're right on the edge over the last 5 years, which is crazy. I used to make fun of the gold people a lot. But they are winning big time and it's shooting up today. Sami,
Yes.
I'll start with you. So I feel like nobody ever knows what the hell is happening with gold because the gold people, no matter what happens, they say gold goes up because of it. So from like a technical perspective, why isn't gold stopping?
Remember we talked about it last week?
Yes, I do.
And it was an uptrend, really bullish uptrend. And I said trends tend to continue. So stick with the trend. It wasn't climactic. And so stick with the trend. Obviously, with gold, like you said, they always have anything, war, oh, we better go to gold. Bitcoin dropping, oh, we better go to gold. So it does have that, I don't want to say cult following, but it does have that, if I want to be safe, I better be in gold. So that probably exacerbates the buying frenzy that we see in gold. It is getting a little bit ahead of itself. I'm going to show my charts real quick. So real quick, share screen. Here we go. This is the GLD. Okay, so that's the GLD. So this was last Wednesday, I think, and this got brought up, and I said, hey, it's in an uptrend, it's not extended. How do I know it's not extended? That's the 20-period moving average. It's right there. It's bullish. But now up here, we are getting a little bit extended for sure. So we could correct and come back in, but it still is not climactic. If we continue on, if we put in a couple more green bars, then that would probably be very close to the top, at least short-term top. But yeah, gold is just phenomenal. Look at the GLD. Look at that huge rounding bottom and then that cup and handle. But in this case, it's even better than a cup and handle. It based at the top and then broke out. Favorite breakout pattern of all time is when the stock goes back up to the prior high and bases rather than pulls back. And so that's what we're dealing with here. Again, we move up, we continue at this pace of, then we will probably top out for a while at least. But right now, I wouldn't feel comfortable shorting gold. Maybe if we close as a narrow body bar, we talked about this in the room today, AEM as a short, because it is getting ahead of itself a little bit. But GLD, if we close with a narrow range bar like this one, that one, and then we break under it, maybe we see a pullback. But it would be even better if gold went up a couple more days and then really topped out. So, but for now, I think, the trend is up, be bullish until it gets extended, and we are getting there. We're slowly getting there. So we'll see.
Okay. So JR, the last time you and I spoke about gold targets, you gave me 32.25 earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And Goldman Sachs just started talking about 3,700 with possible upside to 4,500. Is there any chance we see gold 4,000 this year, JR?
It depends on this whole tariff thing. We're in a currency war with China. All of a sudden, it's like that wasn't in the bingo card for 2025. But they're dumping treasuries. They're buying gold. Look at the Dixie. It's at 99.50 right now. So that's obviously putting a lot of undue pressure on the precious metal, and you're going to see it continually rise until that is over. I told my traders this morning. I told them over last weekend. I said the minute we start to see an end of this whole tariff fiasco, okay, I'm going to short gold hard and fast. I'm going to go big because I think we've have a lot of pent up artificial demand on gold. That's really it's really a side effect of this trading currency where we find ourselves with China. So,
all right, okay, let's move on to my favorite topic, other non-food topic anyway, which is Tesla. Derrick, do you want to give us 30 seconds on why you hate Tesla?
I'm short Tesla. I also just shorted some GDXJ. I just shorted the junior gold miner ETF a little bit here with some room to add, but for a pullback to the 80 MA on the daily is what I'm thinking as a target perspective. But anyway, I am short Tesla right now as we speak. It's a piece of crap stock. It's a piece of crap company, and that's about it. So another note came out this morning on Tesla. Trump's tariffs on Chinese parts for Cybercab, Semi, disrupt Tesla's U.S. production plans. And then the article kind of gets into how Tesla ships components from China for the Cybertruck and semi-electric trucks in the United States were suspended after President Trump raised tariffs on Chinese goods amid a trade war. What do we raise tariffs again this morning on China? What are we up to? 245%? 245, right? Is that the number?
But
it's now a meaningless number, Derrick.
It's meaningless.
It could be
Only
437.
It's completely meaningless.
It's only if they misbehave at the maximum level, they get 245%.
So Tesla is obscenely overvalued, trades at a wild forward PE, yet has declining revenue growth at this point. That's about to basically go negative. I mean, I just say it over and over and over again. I'll say it again now. They can't compete in China. China, which I just went on a big rant on because they have all our PhDs, they're producing better electric vehicles now than Tesla is producing. It's a shame that we can't choose to buy some here in the United States. But remember when we used to have free markets in the United States. But so they can't compete with the Chinese electric cars. No one in Europe wants to touch them. And the United States, it's just ask. I have friends. I'm from New York, but I live in Idaho. I have friends that are very liberal. I have friends that are very, very conservative. No one I know that is conservative will buy an electric vehicle. No one I know who is liberal will buy a Tesla vehicle. And then on top of that, they can't even ship the components in anymore because of the trade war. So the whole thing on the Tesla multiple is that they're going to do all this wonderful stuff, all these amazing new products and robots and driverless vehicles, and they can't even get the components anymore because of the trade war. I mean, this is the most overvalued stock that's out there. Now, I do think that Tesla can rip higher. It's just a high beta name. It can absolutely squeeze up. I would pay attention to Tesla 260. If Tesla breaks 260, I'll probably be, liquidating my short because I have to manage risk. And if it breaks through that, you could very, very quickly see a retest of $300 in the stock. That's just how the name trades. But it's been relatively weak. The stock should have went yesterday, and for some reason it couldn't. Palantir and a lot of other names that tend to move with Tesla had big days yesterday, and it couldn't go. So, the market could rip here, in which case Tesla could break through that 250, 260 area and get up to $300. It'll move well with the market if the market goes. But Sami said that Nvidia is going to 50 in a recession. Tesla's going to 15 if Nvidia goes to 50. So that's that.
All right, Derrick, thank you for that 30-second rant on Tesla. We appreciated you.
Tell us how you really feel, bro.
Thank you for observing the stated time limit. Okay, Sami.
Yes.
Now, we all agreed earlier that the charts are the only thing that matters. Derrick doesn't believe that. Derrick believes what he reads in the failing New York Times or wherever else. So, Sami, you and I have had about 6,000 discussions about Tesla this year. Do you like it?
So I did like it a few days ago, but Derrick mentioned this, that it should have broken out already. So if we look at the daily chart, the 20 was starting to curl and point up. That's when it should have popped. And then if we look at I was just looking at the hourly chart, this is when it should have, popped. It didn't. So it's not looking too hot. And I agree. If it breaks out over, I think 262 some change. Yeah, that's 261. Over like 262, then I think it would be nice. So barring a break of 262, maybe not yet on Tesla, but I don't really love it short either. I think short term, it probably goes nowhere. But yes, I agree. It is a little bit weak and it should have broken out already. You know what I think about when the bigger, one of the big problems that with Tesla is the Cybertruck. Reason being is the Cybertruck is like is the most clear sign that you're a Tesla fan, that you know, and it came out also after Elon became politically involved, whatever. So I think the Cybertruck is going to kill them, because nobody would want, like, Model 3, Model Y. It's just another car. You know, it's been out for a long, long time. But the Cybertruck it's like you're flaunting your Tesla, you know, being a Tesla fanboy or whatever. And I think that's going to be a problem, because right now is not the time to be doing this. And I think you're right. I do look at the charts, and only really the charts, but sometimes my mind thinks about things, and I think when it comes to at least a Cybertruck, Tesla might be in trouble, because I don't see a lot of people would want to buy it, whereas, you know, again, Model 3 is a sedan, Model Y is an SUV, no problem. But to buy a car that's so unique, that makes a statement about how you feel about Tesla, is probably not the best of times for that. And that's like, you know, they were counting on it being their next big, you know, cash cow. So I think Tesla might be in trouble. But look, like I always say, it's not so much about the individual companies. It's more about the market in general. Are we at the start of a recession that we're not aware of? Or maybe like a severe recession that we're oblivious to? If so, then everything will drop. Tesla, Nvidia, all of these companies will drop. So it's more about the market than it is about the individual companies. If the market turns bullish, I bet you Tesla will have lots of bullish stories about why it went up. But the fact of the matter is, the market went up, and so it's the tide that lifts all boats. So that's the thing. That's the most important thing to keep in mind. It's not so much about how good you are at picking stocks. It's about, are you able to gauge the market and be long when the market is bullish and out when the market is bearish, or as soon as the market turns bearish. So that's kind of much more important than being able to pick individual stocks over the long term. We're not talking day trading here. We're talking long term. So that's kind of my take, Mike.
Okay. All right. So I think we need to take the temperature down. Everybody's getting a little wild today. So we need to move on to another big topic, which is, what is the best chicken dish in the world? And I will start with you, Sami. You can have any chicken dish in the universe. What would you order?
So you ever heard of or watched that show, Your Mama? No? Jeez. All right. Well, the best chicken dish is my mama's, which is, I guess, a roasted chicken stuffed with vegetables and rice, and it just comes out tasting amazing. So that's my favorite. I'm not like, I don't know much about chicken dishes, but I know that that's my favorite. A baked chicken, roasted chicken stuffed with veggies and rice, and that's my favorite.
Okay. Derrick, how about you?
So there's certain things that New York just does better than anybody. And one of those is a chicken parm hero, a legit chicken parm hero. I'm so disappointed. I can't find that out West. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Because you're living like a schnook.
I don't know why no one out here wants to just make a legit sandwich spot. There's a sandwich spot in the town here in Idaho that I live in. And whenever I have this buddy from Utah come up and visit, he's always like, I got to stop at that great sandwich shop on my way back from my drive. I'm like, dude, have you ever had a good sandwich? That place, that's like, what are you getting, some cold cuts and putting it on some bread? Like, have you ever had it like a legit chicken parm hero? So a chicken farm hero is the number one chicken dish that's out there when it's done right.
Okay. JR, how about you?
My favorite chicken dish is the one that's on my plate, buddy. Chicken is the international hello, how you doing of every country I've ever been to. I've never been to a country where I can't go to the safety of cash and chickens. Chicken is the international hello. So whatever chicken you put in front of me, I'm going to eat. If I had to choose, I would say probably a nice oven roasted or smoked Peruvian spatchcock chicken. You know, it's a little Dracula because you got to spatchcock the chicken, but it's delicious because it gets a nice even roast because it's fully opened up, so it's very, very juicy.
All right, we have an interesting response from Derrick in the chat. Says Kentucky Fried Chicken. I walked past KFC yesterday, and I almost blacked out because it smelled so good.
Yeah.
I am going to go.
Let me tell you something. You find yourself in Shanghai, you're going to fly to the safety of chicken very fast.
Dude, if you ever had KFC in China? Because KFC in China, I don't know what drugs they put in that, but it's like no fast food chicken anywhere in the world. It's better than anything else I've ever had from a fast food restaurant in my whole life.
Yeah, I had fast food chicken in Colombia, and it was amazing. I ate it like every day I was there. I will go with whatever the Dominicans in Brooklyn are doing to their chickens. I think they like inject seasoning into it and put it on the rotisserie. It's like crack. I don't know what they're doing, but
no, they literally will use a chicken syringe.
Yeah.
And they'll put it under the skin. Yeah.
Oh my God. That shit is
it's crazy.
It's absolutely insane. Oh well. What a freaking day. Okay, now we need to move on to the second most important part of the day. Is there a single damn thing in the world worth buying out there? Since I wanted somebody to give me the green light to go and buy everything, but I guess I'm going to walk away unsatisfied again. Anybody have anything worth buying?
Yeah.
Chicken.
Can I show my charts?
Aside from chicken.
Yes.
Yes. I'm bringing up in 1 second, Sammy. I just saw the EKFC. I saw on the screen. That's a sign.
EKFC. Yeah, it's a sign. Chicken.
Everybody should be eating KFC today.
This looks good. The chewy. And it's, hopefully it's not chicken really. Yeah, it's chewy. So looks good longer term and shorter term too. That's a nice weekly chart. That's probably never going to fail, this buy setup here. The problem is if you put your stop under it, that's a huge stop. But I like the chewy long term and short term. Looks pretty good. I showed you the monthly, the weekly, and the daily. Geo looks kind of good. Not amazing. Here's the daily. If it can base a little bit here, I think we can see a breakout over the double top. The CXW is even more bullish, but it's like too far gone and doesn't have as much room on the daily. But that's another prison stock. And then ORC is a little climactic, as you can see. See the waterfall? Big drop. That climactic should make it back up to probably here, to 650, 670 on the ORC. It's a real estate stock. A lot of them are climactic, so I like them higher for a little while. And I guess the CELH, if it can break out over the base, stop under it. So a few ideas, not a lot, not a whole lot, but those are the ones that I like. And short, everything that I'm in short is already too late. It's too late to get in it. Here's the Nvidia weekly, by the way. I mean, no, this is the daily. Here's the Q's daily. Is it that much different? I mean, it is because of the size of the gap down today. But is it that much different? Probably not. It isn't. By the way, today is kind of interesting because if we end up... So we had the rally, and if we end up breaking under the low tomorrow, then that signals we're lower still. If we end up breaking under today's low tomorrow, I'm not talking about today. If we end up coming back in and breaking under today's low, that's probably lower. If we look at going back to the Nvidia, if we look at the weekly, clearly the Nvidia weekly, look at the 20, turned bearish. Look at the monthly. Monthly might have made it to target, but again, if we are headed to a recession, I'm thinking down to here. If we are headed to, maybe initially to 75. That would be the next target area, 75, but then eventually maybe to 50 if we are really going to be in trouble. So this would be the first target, 70 something. We can look. This is 75, 65, 61. And this would be the second target, about $50 or so. If, again, we're in a longer, prolonged bearish market, recession. So that's Nvidia. Doesn't look good. Doesn't matter what anybody says about it. It just doesn't look good as a chart. But again, we'll drop with the market or go up with the market. The market itself, I'm not very clear about. It's not bullish longer term, but we might have already bottomed. So it's not an easy chart to analyze because we dropped and then that was the capitulation, probably, likely. So we'll see. Only time will tell.
Okay, thank you, Sami. Okay, JR, you like anything?
So I have to amend my answer from chicken. Is that what you're trying to say?
You can keep your answer with chicken. Like, listen, I think it's if you want to tell people forget stocks, buy chicken, I think that's good advice.
The safety of chicken. Hold on, let me just let's do this the right way. Hold on a second. Share screen. Sorry. Pardon me. I like this Take Two Interactive. You had a multi-month base here back in December 2023. You've had 2 legs higher here and a beautiful shakeout off the 21. This is a base that needs to develop. You need about another month worth of overhead supply absorption here off the 218 handle. Okay, but what I'd like to see eventually is a sort of a narrow head and shoulders base build out here. And you got yourself a nice 40, 50 point measured move higher for a next leg higher. This thing's been trending higher here in a very nice, I'm just drawing a very haphazard channel here very quickly, but it's been a very nice angle of ascent. And I believe that off the shakeout, you're going to see a new right side to this base build and a nice trending move higher. I bought some CrowdStrike yesterday off the break of 392. You know, this market's kind of like the Who song. You know, won't get fooled again, but I get fooled again all the time. But regardless, I like the W bottom neckline break here. There was a 392, and I'm looking for a move back to 440, 450. CrowdStrike's been really good to me in the last couple of years, and I do think off of yesterday's strength, we may end up seeing something develop. Palantir also super strong yesterday, and if you get it back over a 98, I think the squeeze to 111 is back on. Other than that, man, you know, I keep telling my traders this is the market to find your strength as a day trader. The intraday session is replete with like money on the floor type of opportunities. You just have to reach over and pick it up. It's a really technical market, but if you're a skilled scalper day trader, there's just money on the floor waiting to be picked up. So I'm really focusing on that and making sure to keep my traders focused on the easiest, highest EV type of probability type of trades. So
awesome. Thank you, JR. All right, Derrick, how about you? You like anything?
Sure. So I really like that Chewy chart that Sami brought up. I'm going to be keeping that one on my radar. That's a solid looking chart. I also really like the CrowdStrike call that JR just made. I think cybersecurity is a great place to hide out right now. You can't really tariff it, right? And so, you know, software names are generally a decent spot to be in. And that's going to be, in a recession, one of the last things that companies drop right now. There's such a demand and such a need for cybersecurity that these companies aren't going anywhere. So I really like both those calls. It's all about the market. I always start with the indexes first before I break it down. The indexes are difficult here. I think that there is upside positioning risk right now. So, you know, like you said in the beginning, not that I care too much about it, bearishness is at an all-time high. But more importantly, a lot of positioning around that bearish thought process is at an all-time high. If you look at like put skew versus call skew right now, everybody is protected as they possibly can be on the downside. And no one seems to be really protected for a positive headline that causes things to resolve to the upside. And what we've also seen now, it's not that bad headlines can't bring us down. Negative headlines can bring us down. That's why the SPY is down 1.1% right now as I'm talking, because there were negative headlines that came out last night that impacted Nvidia, and then we raised tariffs on China again. But what I've been seeing from this market recently is that positive headlines are bringing us up more than negative headlines are bringing us down. And I think that that is because of the positioning dynamic that I just described. So my thought process right now is I think that there's actually a lot of positioning risk to the upside that could squeeze us up. If we can get above the high from the last kind of 2 trading sessions, let me pull up my screen share real quick for you. Entire screen, bam, bam, cool. If we can get above the high from these last 2 trading sessions, so it's like SPY, let's just call it 544 area, you do have a really, really important level at 550 that is notable. It's a level that we broke out from. It was not a coincidence at all that a week ago Wednesday, when we got the pause headline, that we basically stopped in front of 550, huge important level. But I do think that if we can get above that 544, there's enough of a positioning dynamic out there that has us go after 550. And then I think if you break 550, then you get a real positioning squeeze to like the 560 to 570 area. And I actually think that that is a higher probability situation than we get a retest of 500 or 510 in the near term. The technicals will play out. I totally agree with what Sami said earlier. Watch today's low tomorrow for a signal that potentially fails. But I think that there's short-term risk to the upside. Then I think that in time gives way to the growth slowdown that comes inevitably from these tariffs. So if we can retest that like 560, 570 price congestion zone from the March trading session, that would be an area where I probably would really turn net short. So right now I've got shorts on, I've got longs on. I am net long, but I've got both. Somehow I'm net long and positive today, so that's always good when the market's down. But the closer we get to 550, the more neutral I'll get. And then if we can really have that positioning squeeze to 560, 570, and you're forcing buy-ins, that's where I would probably turn short. And then we see how these economic numbers play out. That's my current thought process. It's changing constantly because the news and the information is changing like literally every 5 minutes. But that's how I'm seeing the technicals right now. That's how I'm seeing the positioning right now. And that's why for all my ranting and raving and hating on the tariffs and stuff like that, I am a technical trader at the end of the day. And the information I'm seeing says I'd rather be long than short, at least in the short term. But like anything else, you have to manage risk. If I'm wrong and we fell down, Tesla's like my favorite technical short right now, which this thing, I mentioned the relative weakness, further negative headlines. You have a nice little setup here on the break of this wedge that is like kind of like a bigger picture bearish consolidation that's building out at this point. So I am currently short Tesla. I think if the market is weak, if this thing is one of the best bang for your buck, but I am going to manage risk on that because I think if the market risk is to the upside and if the market squeezes, then I probably have to stop myself out of this because it could very quickly see 280 to 300 again.
Awesome. Okay, Derrick, thank you very much. Okay, guys, hope everybody appreciates the magic that was brought to you today, completely free, courtesy of T3 Live. The company's been trying to cancel this show for months, but we find a way to sneak on behind their backs. So let us know, should we come back next week? Type 11 for yes, type 22 for no. Our friend PJ is telling us Barron's is saying Nvidia will be fine. I guess Barron's has been listening to JR. Okay, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. Remember, it's okay to forget the stock market and focus on chicken. I hope you remember that. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.